welcome back to another video from HSTV, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you guys all about how my experience of studying medicine at Edinburgh University has been so far. If you are new to the channel, hello, this is HSTV and I am a first year medical student at the University of Edinburgh, and a lot of you have been saying some really lovely messages to me surrounding how I've helped you to get into med school and so on, so I really do appreciate that, and a massive congratulations to everyone who's received offers to study medicine at Edinburgh. Now I know there's not a lot of stuff about Edinburgh University on YouTube. I'm one of the few people from Scotland actually that's on YouTube, so I hope that I can give you a bit of an insight and show you how great Edinburgh University is. Some people have said to me that the satisfaction rates are low at Edinburgh, so I just want to tell you guys how I felt, my experiences, and some of my top tips and advice for those of you who are going to come to Edinburgh starting in September. So if you enjoy this video or find it useful even a little bit, please do make sure to share it, like it, and subscribe to the channel for more videos. And without further ado, let's get on to it. Now, some of the main things I want to cover in this video, first of all, is about course style, lecturers, teachers, and just the teaching style in general, because I know I was definitely interested in that when I was coming to Edinburgh. Also, I know some of you haven't chosen Edinburgh as your first choice yet, so maybe this is gonna help you to decide a bit better. And the other thing I want to talk about is how time commitments have been. Have I had time to pursue my hobbies and do clubs and stuff? And I'll talk a bit about societies. Obviously this is all going to be in the context of COVID-19 because it's being filmed in the pandemic. I also want to talk a little bit about Edinburgh itself, places that I recommend you go and see, and activities that you go and do, because I've actually lived in Edinburgh for most of my life, and now I'm studying in Edinburgh, so I do know Edinburgh quite well. And the last thing that I just want to talk about is all about accommodation. Now I am actually staying at home, but I hope I can give you some tips about some good accommodation places that I've heard of, and kind of the procedure kind of side of things as well. Hopefully that should help you guys and help you to decide if Edinburgh is the best place for you to study medicine. So I just want to talk a little bit about course style first of all. So generally speaking, Edinburgh works on a spiral-based learning system, meaning that you kind of build upon knowledge, and it's not like you do a block of cardiology and then that's you done. It's like you do a couple weeks of cardiology, then you revisit it in semester 2, and then again in year 2 as well. So that is the kind of basis of learning at Edinburgh. In terms of structure of the MBCHB course, so you do 2 years, mostly theory-based, then you do an intercalated year in your third year, which is basically where you go off and choose a different degree from a list that they give you, sort of taking a year out of medicine. However, they do give you degrees related to medicine still, so I'm quite interested in the surgical intercalation degree, but there's also stuff like zoology and gynecology and so on that you can kind of go and do your own little research project on for that 1 year, and that will get you a Bachelor in Science degree, which is brilliant because you will actually come out with 2 degrees at the end of your 6-year course. And then talking about years 4, 5, and 6, well, I'm clearly not there yet, but it's mostly practical based in the hospital. And if you didn't know, our teaching hospital is the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh. It's a brilliant hospital, so many specialties and lots of variety of cases come in, and they've actually expanded it to include a neurology unit and a sick kids pediatrics unit as well. So that's great, and they're always looking for ways that we can get in the hospital, do some hands-on work. So that's kind of the main structure outline of the course, and so far it has been mostly theory based, unfortunately, but if your learning style is to learn the theory and then put it into practice, well, this is perfect. That's the kind of way I work, so Edinburgh was really nice for me. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we've not been able to get out as much into lecture, so most of it's just been online. But hopefully from year 2, we're hoping that we can go out a bit more, and hopefully for the new first years, that'll be a really great opportunity to meet, socialise, and just see Edinburgh Medical School a bit better than maybe we have. So yeah, course style, that's kind of how it works. In terms of specifically first year, so we have done we've done some different units. So we had a unit called Body in Motion, so that was all the science-based stuff. So we did a bit on cardiology, we did a bit on respiration, we did a bit on embryology. And then we moved into a different unit called REBM and SEAM. So REBM is Research and Evidence-Based Medicine. So this is where you learn how to critically appraise papers, because research and clinical trials are a big part of medicine as a whole. And as a practicing doctor, we will be expected to read papers and improve our knowledge through that. Because remember, medicine is just a lifelong learning career. There's not really a stop to knowledge. So yeah, and then you also do a unit called SEAM, which is a social and ethical aspect of medicine. So this is basically learning all about different social factors that can affect a patient's condition, or why a patient would come to you in the first place. So it's not all about the patient and their condition and the body part, but you have to look at deprivation, financial circumstances, and how these factors can affect a patient's condition. And then the other thing that we've been doing is called PBL. So PBL is problem-based learning, and Edinburgh really love their problem-based learning. So we do that weekly. So we get given a case, we're put in small groups. Unfortunately, it's been all online this year, but normally you go and meet up in your groups in an actual classroom, you get some food, and it's like a nice casual environment where you discuss a case, come up with questions, and then in the next session you go and discuss the answers to those questions. So PBL is a lovely way to sort of expand your learning, talk about things, and do your own little research independent work as well. So that's Body in Motion, SEAM, REBM and PBL, which was all going on at the same time throughout semester 1. And really the only thing that's changed in semester 2 is that rather than having a Body in Motion unit, we've had a unit called Sustaining Life. So we've done some different modules in that. So right now we're doing a bit about hematology, we did cardiology again, we also did respiratory medicine again, we did the GI tract, we did embryology, so tons of stuff that we've revisited and tons of stuff that is new to us as well. And in both semesters, I forgot to mention, we also did pharmacology. So this is giving you a basic understanding of simple kind of medications. You don't need to know a whole load of medications, but stuff like beta blockers and it's just kind of basic medicines like that, that you need to know simple mechanisms and kind of what they're used for. So talking about antagonists and agonists, which is knowledge that you should know from your high school. So yeah, that's kind of how the structure of year 1 has worked like. I'll also talk a bit about examinations, I guess, since we're on this topic. So examinations, we had some practice exams. We've had to write 1 essay so far, but I've got 2 more coming up, and they were for the SEAM module, because that doesn't really get assessed in the end of unit examinations. So we had an exam in December, more like November probably, before Christmas holidays, and in that it was all about the body in motion and obviously anatomy. How could I forget anatomy? I've just completely not talked about that module at all. So anatomy is also a big part of medicine, as you can imagine, and anatomy was taught again online this year. We had a few anatomy demonstrations with real cadaveric bodies, so actual dead bodies, showing us different real life human parts. We would have been able to actually go and touch the parts and do dissections and so on, but unfortunately we've just not had the chance this year. But next year, fingers crossed, years 1s and 2s will hopefully go and be able to do that. So anatomy gets tested, your science-based modules get tested, and your REBM gets tested. So I hope that that has been a good outline of the MBCHB course in general, but specifically year 1, because please do keep in mind that the year 1 curriculum has just changed for us this year. So most of the stuff you will find online or from senior students will probably be a little bit outdated, so do keep that in mind, and hopefully this video is giving you the most up-to-date information. So now to just talk a little bit about the way that lectures are given and the lectures themselves. So the lectures this year have all been online, and we get given lecture slides and lecture transcripts, and sometimes, depending on what the lecture is, we might get worksheets as well. So for anatomy, we've been getting worksheets, and their answers get posted afterwards as well, so we can kind of check that. And we sometimes get some ready-made notes as well, depending on maybe if a topic is really complex, to know exactly what we need to know. So that's the kind of way lectures are given. So they've just kind of been pre-recorded this year, but we get lecture slides in the form of PDFs or PowerPoints that we can go and annotate and keep for our record. And the lecturers, all of them actually have been qualified doctors, consultants, registrars, all working in the UK. We have had some lecturers from America for REBM actually, and that's been nice to kind of see a different side on things. And all the lecturers are lovely. They always put their emails in as well, so if you want to contact them if you've got any questions, they're always ready to help. I'll be honest, I've not really had a brilliant relationship with any of the lecturers yet, because I've not met most of them in person, but from what I have, like from people I have met, they have been lovely, really ready to help. And yeah, I can't really say much more because I've not really met most of these people in general, but they are all qualified and they know the answers to your questions. Okay, so now that we have all of that course-based stuff out of the way, if you guys want more information about my notes or how I've been kind of managing that, then please do go and check out my note-taking series. In that I show you how I take notes and how it's been in the first year of medicine, but I don't want to really go into a lot of detail about that right now. However, I do want to talk about time commitments and just how time has been in general while studying medicine, because a lot of people say there's a lot of work. A lot of people say you don't get time for your hobbies and societies and so on, and I just want to say that I have had time to do what I like to do as well. So for example, I've been doing the YouTube channel, and that obviously takes a while to make the video, or plan the video, make the video, also edit the video and then produce it and so on, and also keep up with the social medias as well. So I've been able to do all of that. I don't know if you guys can hear, but there's like an ice cream van in the background right now, so that's perfectly ideal. Anyways, that's very off topic. I have had time to do things. I really like to play video games, so I have had time to play video games as well. I'll be honest, in terms of like lectures and the amount of work we've been given, I will admit it is a lot, especially in the first semester. It did seem quite a lot. It was a big jump from high school, but I feel like that was because it was very independent, and we had to just kind of get on with work, which is very different to high school when you're mostly kind of spoon-fed what you need to know, what you don't need to know. But I guess the pandemic didn't help with that, so it was a bit of a difficult time in semester 1, but hopefully, especially now in semester 2, kind of getting into the running of things, and it's not been that bad at all, and hopefully year 2 will be even better when we can go into uni and get that kind of support from our peers and lecturers.
Properly.
And we have a visitor at the moment as well. His name is actually Spider-Man, as you can see here.
Yeah, hello.
Spider-Man, I think you need to go and save some people now. On you go.
I'm not tall. I need to go save some people. Bye-bye.
Bye. But yes, getting back to what we were actually talking about. So in terms of like hours of work that I do in a week, so they kind of recommend that you do around 50 hours of actual work a week. And to be honest, I think it does come out to about that. I think I do around about 8 hours a day generally. So if I get up at like 8 or 9 or something, then I'll be done by like 6 o'clock in the evening, 7 o'clock in the evening, generally, and that's including sort of lunch breaks and so on. So it's really not that bad. I just want to stress that. It is a lot of work, and sometimes it is difficult to get your head around things, and I'll be playing lectures again or listening through it in a slower speed or whatever, but it is possible. And as you can see, I've been pursuing the YouTube thing. I do play video games, I have time for my family, I watch things, so it's not that bad. Some weeks are worse than others, I will say that. Some weeks, if it's a really bad week, generally the next week the university do recognise that, and they do give you slightly less work, which is useful. So please don't worry too much about workload. I know people who are a little bit behind on lectures, but I think that's kind of just because of the stress of the online work and the pandemic in general. Otherwise, mostly people are up to date with what needs to be done. And I mean, on a mental health point of view, I've really been enjoying the degree. So I don't mind if I have to do a bit of extra work. But yeah, don't worry too much is what I would say. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is accommodation. So obviously this is going to be a big part. You have to live somewhere if you're coming to Edinburgh, and for the majority of you, you will be traveling from somewhere else. So I'll be completely honest, I'm not that experienced in terms of accommodation because I am staying at home. However, I think there are different types of accommodation you need to consider. For example, would you like catered accommodation, so where you get food given, or do you want non-catered where you have to make food yourself? There's also, depending on I know we're talking about medicine, so in terms of the nearest campuses, normally any campus in the city centre is a good generic guide. Anything sort of in Leith, you can search up these places after, but any places in Leith or the city centre, they're normally quite good areas that are kind of close to the medical school, because remember Edinburgh has two medical school campuses in a way. So we have the old medical school, which is normally where the anatomy teaching happens, and that's kind of in the city centre, and we also have the medical school, which is at Royal Infirmary, and that is a little while away, so that's not in the city centre. So please do be aware when you're choosing your accommodation to make sure it's kind of somewhere between the old medical school and the Royal Infirmary as well. For me, I live in Edinburgh, but it takes me 1 hour in the bus to get to Royal Infirmary, but I would prefer that because I like staying with my family, so I'm fine staying at home. But I do know people who live in Edinburgh who've moved closer to the campus just because it was easier for them. So I will link some useful websites down below to help you with choosing your accommodation, but other than that, I can't really give you much more information. From what I've heard from friends, Edinburgh's accommodation is really lovely, Wi-Fi is good, and they've just been really well looked after, and they have security guards and all that on campus, so you know they can raid any house parties at any time, so please do be aware of that. And other than that, it's a lovely community, everyone's lovely. Like, Edinburgh is genuinely like the friendliest place I know. I might be a bit biased, but it's so much more lovely than England. I lived in England for a while, and Edinburgh is so much better than England, so yeah, maybe a bit biased, maybe a bit controversial, but I will speak of where I live, and I really, really like Edinburgh. Okay, also talking about places to visit when you're at Edinburgh. So obviously you have a 6-year degree. You've got plenty of time to get to know Edinburgh, but as someone who's lived here for a long time, I guess I can recommend some places to you. So I really recommend that you go and see Holyrood Park, i.e. Arthur's Seat. It's very common. Literally all of our primary school trips were up there, but it's a lovely piece of landscape scenery, and it just makes you feel like you're kind of in the Highlands or something, because it's a lovely mountain, and its history is actually to do with a volcanic eruption, but I won't go into detail of that. But it's a volcano, but it's a dead volcano, so don't worry. But it's lovely, it's beautiful, so do go and visit that. Also, our city centre on Princess Street is lovely as well. So many shops and so many things to do, especially in the summer. We have something called the Fringe on. It's basically a festival where performers from all over the world come and perform all around Princess Street and the city centre, and you can get tickets for theatres and shows, and loads of different people coming in. Someone's doing juggling, someone's playing music, and it's a really lovely, lively atmosphere. Unfortunately, it was cancelled last year due to the pandemic, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it can go ahead this year. Normally it happens in August actually, so maybe this year's year ones will miss it, but hopefully if it does happen, you'll probably see some pictures of it on Instagram. And also New Year's at Hogmanay we have a massive street party. I've never been actually, but from what I've seen on TV and stuff, it's really lovely. We've got Edinburgh Castle. Do go and visit Edinburgh Castle as well. Great place. That's where the fireworks happen on New Year. So just from like little snippets like that, I hope you can see that Edinburgh is such a lively city. We get so many tourists all year round, and it's a great place in the winter and the summer. Loads of activities happening, especially for students. Alright, and the last thing I want to talk about is societies. So unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I wasn't really able to join any societies or clubs this year. However, there's so many opportunities to do literally whatever you can think of, and if there's not a club for what you do, you can literally make one. So please don't worry about that. And I know people who did hockey this year. There's a badminton club. There are special clubs that are tailored to the medicine course, because the university understands that medicine is a very work-heavy degree, and for that some clubs are better suited to our time, so it might be more in the evening rather than sort of afternoon time when we might be busy. So there's like a club called like Medics Badminton, and I wanted to join that, but unfortunately because of the pandemic the courts and stuff weren't open, so we couldn't really do that. But Medics Badminton is lovely, so it would just be with the medics. But there is a whole badminton club which is for the whole university, which is maybe if you're more competitive, or if you were playing at a more international or national level and you're really good and you can put in that extra time, then you obviously have that option as well. So that's really nice that we get special things for medics, and we also get bigger clubs as well. Depending on your skill level, there is literally everything open for you. You can do, there's like a chocolate club as well, so you know, go for it, go and make any club you want. And trust me, if you do lectures on time and stay on top of your work, there is time to pursue your hobbies and clubs and societies. Alright guys, that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope that you have liked this little experience video about Edinburgh University studying medicine. I hope that this has given you an insight into what life in Edinburgh studying medicine is. There's not a lot of YouTube videos about Edinburgh universities, and it was something I struggled to find as well. So I really do hope that this can give you a good insight and persuade you to come to Edinburgh. And obviously if you do come to Edinburgh and you're studying medicine, you'll probably see me around. So I would love to see you guys and chat to you guys as well. And I wish everyone the best of luck for coming to Edinburgh. If you do decide it's your top choice, I full-heartedly recommend Edinburgh as a city and Edinburgh University as well. I've had literally no issues. They've been a lovely community, and I hope that you guys have a similar experience as well. And I will see you all in my next video. Goodbye.